Senate Democrats may have found a way to pass their priorities without Republican support. A Senate aide tells NBC News Majority Leader Chuck Schumer's team made the argument to the Senate parliamentarian that reconciliation can be used more than just once a year. Reconciliation is the process that allows bills to pass the Senate with a simple majority vote and would let Democrats work around the filibuster. Senate Democrats have not decided on this strategy, but could use the idea to force Republican cooperation. If the parliamentarian agrees, Democrats could pass bills at least 3 more times before the midterms. The Washington Post's Eugene Robinson is still with us, along with MSNBC contributor Mike Barnicle. And join the conversation, we have Iraq War veteran, Purple Heart recipient, and former Assistant Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs, Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois. She is the author of a new memoir out today entitled Every Day is a Gift. And we will get to the book in just a moment. But first, Senator, we welcome you back to the show. It's great to have you here. I'm wondering first if you can, reading your comments in USA Today about the Capitol riot, where do you think this case of the rioters, the assault on the Capitol, and those who pushed it should go next? Should there be a 9/11 style commission, and why aren't we further down the line on accountability?
Well, I think the FBI is definitely putting together the case. You know, this is a pretty complex situation, and you're seeing every day new names are revealed of people that they've tracked down. So I say, let them do their job. Let the Capitol Police, let the FBI do their job and continue to gather the information, continue to identify all the insurrectionists. I do think that there should be some sort of an investigation into those who really fomented this insurrection beyond just, you know, the folks who were there.
What can you tell us, Senator, about the Pentagon officials, those that work for Donald Trump, whether there was a delay in sending the National Guard over? We've had testimony from some Pentagon officials, but not those who made the ultimate decision.
Well, I'd love to hear from them and see what happened there. They claim that there was not delay, but General Walker, the commander of the D.C. National Guard, whom, by the way, I served with in my last 5-6 years of military service, I actually did a lot of my drills at the D.C. National Guard, and Colonel Walker, then Colonel Walker, now Major General Walker, and I served with, so I know him personally, and he's reassured me that he was ready to go. He saw the situation developing. He put his troops on buses, loaded them on buses, and they were there ready to go hours before they were allowed to move forward. So this is a man I know, a man of honor, a man of integrity, newly named Sergeant of Arms for the House, and I believe him.
Senator, it's Willie Geist. Good to see you this morning. Congratulations on the book. I want to ask you about a topic you've been outspoken about in the last week or so, and that is violence against Asian Americans in this country. There was a horrific attack yesterday here in New York City in Midtown Manhattan, where a 65-year-old Asian American woman was stomped, told, "F you, you don't belong here." It's really an attempted murder when you watch it on tape. What do we need to do as a country to stop this, to stem this tide that police departments across the country have told us is getting worse by the day? What can you do from your seat? What do we need to do as a nation?
Well, what we need to do as a nation and also from my seat is that we need to get a real accounting of how many hate crimes there have been committed against Asian Americans. The vast majority of them, let me tell you, have gone unreported or unclassified as hate crimes. As you saw in Georgia, the police sergeant there, his first response wasn't this could be a hate crime. His first response was, gee, the guy was having a bad day when he shot and killed 8 people. This is the problem with hate crimes against Asian Americans, is that they don't get reported as hate crimes. And in fact, 2/3 of all hate crimes against Asian Americans are against Asian women in particular. 150% rise in those cases that were reported in the last year alone, about 3,000 of them. And so we need to have a real accounting. And I've asked Merrick Garland, Attorney General Garland, I've asked Christopher Wray, FBI Director, to investigate all of the crimes and see how many of them should be reclassified as hate crimes. I also think we as a nation, we need to stand up and speak up and stop it. You know, we are each other's keepers. And if you don't want to see, you just need to stand up and oppose and stop people when they try to do this. You saw the case of the other elderly woman who was hit in the middle of a crowd and nobody stepped in to help, and she had to fight back herself.
Yeah, one of the most appalling elements of yesterday's attack is it happened outside a building in Midtown, and the people working inside the building saw her on the sidewalk, this woman on the ground, and just closed the door and sort of walked away from it. Senator, we know you'll stay on top of that. Gene Robinson has another question for you. Gene?
Senator, my question is about the way forward for you and your colleagues in the Senate. The majority has a lot of work that it wants to get done, is getting zero cooperation from the Republican side. What is the way forward? Is it through increased use of reconciliation, perhaps, which we heard about yesterday? Is it through getting rid of the filibuster, or is there hope of bringing 10 Republicans across to the Democratic side on any piece of legislation?
Well, we could not get a single Republican vote for the American Rescue Plan that people desperately needed those $1,400 to help them pay bills and keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. And there was money in there for schools so our kids can go back to in-person learning, money for small businesses. Not a single Republican senator voted for that. So that brings my hopes down a little bit. On the other hand, I think if we did something like a talking filibuster, where if you want to filibuster, then you need to stand up, Mr. Smith goes to Washington style, and defend your position. And you know, it would eventually end because you would have to stop from exhaustion. But, you know, that's what most Americans think of as a filibuster. I think that's a good intermediate step. But when it comes to the Voting Rights Act, I think that comes first. The fact of the matter is you shouldn't be filibustering voting rights for all Americans. My gosh, I spent 23 years in the Army defending people's rights to vote, not just to come to the Senate and watch, 50 Republican senators oppose people's rights to vote.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.